What's up, guys? It's me on. I am back with another video, and it's time to do my 2022 NFL playoff predictions. The bracket is set, teams are getting ready. Who's going to walk away the Super Bowl champion? Before we get into that, though, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on future videos and streams. Thank you to everybody who came in, courtesy of the Tom Grassi raid, and just everybody who checked out the stream in general Saturday night during the Titans Jags game. Again, thank you, Grassi, for the raid. And also, again, thank you to 5 Points Vids for coming on at halftime and having a chat. That was fun. Go check all that out. Um, with all that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into this. So, your matchups. Well, first of all, your number one seeds are the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. They obviously have a bye. Your wild card matchups are the second seeded Bills against the seventh seeded Dolphins, the third seeded Bengals against the sixth seeded Ravens, and the fourth seeded Jaguars against the fifth seeded Chargers in the AFC. While on the NFC side, you have the second seeded Niners against the seventh seeded Seahawks. Fuck you, LA Rams. We could have had Detroit in the playoffs, god damn it. If only you beat Seattle, but I digress. Third seeded Vikings against the sixth seeded Giants, and the fourth seeded Buccaneers against the fifth seeded Cowboys. So starting on the AFC side, Buffalo should be kicking Miami's ass. I'm just gonna say it. Um, I do not see Miami winning this game whatsoever, and it's in large part due to the fact we don't know what the fuck's going on with Tua, other than the fact that he's had another concussion. He's out because of it. If he's unable to play, it sounds like Teddy Bridgewater is gonna be there or is going to play. He missed yesterday's game with injury. Um, and also, fuck you, Jets, for not getting it done against the Dolphins because the Pats lost. And the Steelers won, so we could have had the Steelers in this spot. But anyway, again, I just don't see the Dolphins winning this game. And I know they won the first matchup of the year. They barely lost to them the second time in Buffalo in the snow at the end of the game. But Tua gives you the best chance to win, and I'm not putting him out there right now. I even if he gets cleared, I'm still not putting him out there because he doesn't need to risk another fucking concussion this season. Like I was hoping Miami would lose to the Jets because honestly, they need to let Tua fucking rest. They need to let his body fucking heal after the season that he's been put through by that team. But they're here. They'll give it their best shot, but they ain't winning. Buffalo advances. Bengals Ravens back to back facing each other. Back to back games in Cincinnati facing each other because the Ravens did not win last week. So the whole coin flip thing is nullified in this case because originally with all the playoff shenanigans as a result of the Bills Bengals game getting canceled, one of those was, and this pissed off the Bengals, was if the Ravens won, um, and if the Ravens beat the Bengals, then there'd be a coin flip to determine, whose stadium the game would be played in. But Bengals won, so that gets nullified, and the Bengals should be winning again. Uh, Same thing with Baltimore as it is with Miami. Is Lamar Jackson going to play or not? Now it seems like Lamar may end up playing. However, being gone for what, a month, I think, off injury, and just going against these Bengals, man, I just don't see the Ravens winning. I mean, with Lamar, it should be close. It should be a close game, but uh, Cincinnati should have this one well wrapped up by the end. And they'll be going on to face the Bills in the next round. So then that leaves us with the Jaguars and Chargers, which honestly I think might be the best game of the entire wild card weekend. You have two young QBs making their playoff debut. Trevor Lawrence versus Justin Herbert. Of course, Herbert almost made the playoffs last year, but you could have tied against the Raiders and you both would have made it in, but whatever. So they're both here. Um, I think some will probably give the Chargers the edge, and simply in terms of who they have on that offense. But here's the problem: the Chargers are inconsistent as hell. Brandon Staley needs to get his head out of his ass and actually let Justin Herbert throw the fucking ball downfield and not be a check down fucking magnet. You know what I mean? Because that's what it seems to be. Like Herbert can sling the ball, and he's really good at it. He should not be going out there with most of his passes being check downs and dump offs to Austin Eckler. And speaking of Eckler, let him run the freaking football and let him score you some touchdowns. But that being said, I think the Jaguars escape with a win here. Um, the Chargers are going to give them a fight, rightfully so. It might end up coming down to overtime, but I think the Jaguars can get it done. Um, they're riding momentum with winning all but one game ever since they were like 3-7. They've won all but one game since. Of course, the Titans lost every game since they started 7-3, so that's how that happened. And as a fan of Uche Nwaneri, who's a former Jaguar and content creator, again worked on the dumpster fire with Tree and 5 points. Of course, him passing away a couple weeks ago. I want to see them win a playoff game for Uche because he predicted them to win the division, and then they did. I want to see the Jaguars win a playoff game for him. So therefore, I'm taking the Jaguars to beat the Chargers. Uh, I think the Chargers and Herbert will have some playoff success in the future. It's just not going to be this year. So that being said, you get the top seeded Chiefs against the fourth seeded Jaguars and the second seeded Bills against the third seeded Bengals. On the NFC side, starting off with the second seeded 49ers against the seventh seeded Seahawks. Again, fuck you, Rams. We could have had the Lions in the playoffs after they beat the Packers last night, but nope, you couldn't beat Seattle in overtime. So with that said, I'm gonna be honest here. I know a lot of people are picking the 49ers to win this game, and rightfully so. Brock Purdy's been spectacular. Coming in ever since Garoppolo went down with injury, because of course, Trey Lance has been out since like what week 1 or 2 with his injury, which on top of that makes this a very interesting quarterback situation going into the offseason because you have Purdy on his rookie deal, Lance on his rookie deal, and Garoppolo is a free agent. But if with how well Purdy's been playing, what the hell do you do with Trey Lance? Because you moved up to get him at number 2, like you know, um, you have Debo, you have these players on offense, and you have in defense, well-rounded team. I I'm pretty sure people are probably picking the Niners to potentially go all the way to the Super Bowl, but I'm taking the Seahawks. Upset alert, and the reason why: one, Kyle Shanahan in the playoffs. We know how he is. Um, you know, he does well, but he does have a propensity to blow it sometimes. You know, look where he came from with the Falcons. But primarily speaking, I wonder if the playoff jitters are going to get to Purdy. Because if they do, and if Seattle can make him make mistakes, like they don't have to do a ton, just make Purdy make mistakes, and Seattle could potentially win this. As long as they stay mistake free. Obviously, Pete Carroll, with all his playoff experience at head coach, I think Seattle could get it done. It's a long shot. It feels like one, but Seattle could very well become the first seventh seed since the seventh seed became a thing just a couple of years ago to advance out of the wild card round. And I wish it was the Lions, but I think Seattle can get it done. So I'm going to take Seattle. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong on this one, but I'm gonna take Seattle. I think the scope of the playoffs and the bigger stakes. It might get to Purdy. He might overthink things, make mistakes, and that's all you got to do to give the game to the other team. So I'm gonna take Seattle on this one. So then we go to the third seeded Vikings against the sixth seeded Giants, a rematch from just a few weeks ago where the Vikings won, I believe, in overtime or at the very end of the game, either or. Uh, both of these teams, when you look at them, people have been calling them both frauds, and I get it. Vikings, especially again, how the hell do you give up over 30 points in the first half to the Colts, only to then turn around and make them blow it? But then you get your ass kicked by the Packers, a Packers team that's really not all that good and has not been this year. Um, it's hard to trust them, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to trust the Giants. Credit to Brian Dable for what he did with his team. He has turned this team around. He's made Daniel Jones actually look fairly decent, although you can make an argument that really a lot of that is the defense and Saquon Barkley, who's been able to stay healthy this year for the most part. Um, this should be like the first meeting. This should be a pretty good game. I hate to do this to Vikings fans. I really do. But I'm taking the Giants. I just, I don't know what it is, but I think the Giants can get it done. This could end up turning into a run like, '07, 2011, where they come in as a wild card. They don't look all that spectacular, but they're there. And then they turn around and just beat the crap out of and just beat people. Like don't beat the crap out of them. They just beat people and go all the way. Um, it's a, it's it, I'm taking the Giants. So there you go. Sorry, Vikings. Sorry, Kirk. You've had a hell of a year, but you stumbled late, and I just think that just may end up potentially carrying over into the playoffs. So I think the Giants will advance. So you get the sixth and seventh seeds advancing, which is crazy. So now you get to the 4v5. Buccaneers versus Cowboys. The Bucks enter the playoffs under 500 at 8-9 after losing to the Falcons this past weekend, which is the first time Brady's entered the playoffs under 500. And also the first time he's lost to the Falcons in his career, which is crazy. So at least the Falcons, they can say that they finally beat Brady, but they didn't beat him when it mattered. um, Going up against a Cowboys team that got their asses handed to them by the Commanders in Week 18. Uh, Dak Dak has had a year, or a season rather. Um, the interceptions is definitely concerning. He had at least one in the game yesterday. Um, the thing with Dallas is they look good at times, but then you get games like the Packers game where they had a chance to win and then they didn't, and then you have um, the Commanders game this past weekend where they just get they just get beat, they just get their ass kicked. I mean, yeah, you beat the Eagles and you split the season series with them, but you played Gardner Minshew, not Jalen Hurts. If they had Jalen Hurts out there, they would have swept your asses. So, and of course, when these two teams played each other in Week 1, which was a rematch from Week 1 last year, just like Week 1 last year, they lost. Um, yeah, I think the as crazy as it might be considering the season they've had, I think the Bucks do it and they beat the Cowboys again. Um, and the Cowboys get knocked out in the wild card round again. Um, and Brady advances again. Bye bye, Dak. So because I had the sixth and seventh seeds advancing, the NFC playoff for the divisional round will be the top seeded Eagles against the seventh seeded Seahawks and the fourth seeded Buccaneers against the sixth seeded Giants. Chaos in the NFC, baby. You love to see it. Um, so back to the AFC for the divisional round. Chiefs versus Jaguars. This is a rematch, and um, the Jaguars held their own against the Chiefs last time, but the playoffs are a whole different atmosphere. I would expect the Chiefs to be clicking on all cylinders, and as much as I want the Jaguars to beat them, I just don't see it yet. So Chiefs will advance to the AFC Championship game once again. And on the other side, you get the Bills Bengals rematch, which, of course, we know what happened in the first game. Bengals were up 7-3. The DeMar Hamlin, you know, incident happened. He actually announced today that he's been transferred. He's being transferred back to a hotel, or not hotel, to a hospital in Buffalo. He's continuing to make progress, which is freaking awesome. So shout out to him. Um, Buffalo should win this one. As much as I'd like to see the Bengals make another Super Bowl run, Buffalo should be able to get this win, to do it for DeMar and just for themselves because, again, they get another crack at the Chiefs with the Super Bowl, with a spot in the Super Bowl on the line. They The last year was the closest the Bills have come to putting the Chiefs away, and I so desperately want to see them play again because it's going to be another playoff classic. So I think they'll get it done. Um, Obviously, if you're a Bills fan, you're kind of hoping one of the lower, I mean, well, granted, the only way the Chiefs would be able to play the Bengals before the championship game would be, funny enough, if pretty sure if no, no, because the Bengals are the third seed, so yeah, I don't know. But I don't think mathematically they could play them in the divisional round, but at the very least, you would like the Bengals if they were in a position to do so to potentially knock the Chiefs out so you don't have to deal with them, but you're going to have to. But that said, Bills win over the Bengals. They advance to the AFC Championship game to play the Chiefs again. So back on the NFC side, Eagles versus Seahawks. The Eagles should wrap this one up pretty quickly. Um, Jalen Hurts is getting healthy. That team, it's the best team in the league by far. Um, and they should have no problem dealing with the Seahawks. So Seahawks get the upset over the Niners, but they get their asses kicked by the Eagles. Eagles head to the to the NFC Championship game. So then you have Buccaneers Giants. Brady gets to play the Giants again for what could be the final time if he retires after this year. And yes, I've seen things about the Raiders looking into getting him. If you seriously oust Derek Carr, if you trade him away just to get Tom Brady, fuck you, Raiders. You deserve to be fucking contracted. I'm sorry, but Brady needs to fucking retire after this year. All right? I've said it once, I've said it a bunch of times. I'm a huge Brady fan. Y'all know that. But he's done as far as I'm concerned. It's just, and again, you can say it's the offensive line, you can say it's injuries. I get all of that. The dude's 45 fucking years old. He can only go so much longer. And honestly, even with the issues on the offensive line and even with injury problems to that team, his level of play has gone down. He is regressing. He's at that point where Father Time has finally caught up with his ass. So, and with all the other turmoil from the season, Brady just needs to go. He just needs to retire after this year. But in terms of this game, Brady versus the Giants. Of course, we know what has happened with Brady the last two times he's played the Giants in the playoffs. Of course, that was with the Patriots, and both times were the Super Bowl, and both times he lost. 07 couldn't get the perfect season, and 2011, well, you lost again. Being that the Giants head coach is Brian Dable, who was previously with the Bills, who have plenty of experience dealing with Brady, I think Dable is going to have a pretty good game plan to deal with Brady. Um, Not to mention, again, some of the guys on the Bucks are still banged up. Um, Probably could be more banged up coming out of the Cowboys game. And I cannot believe I'm saying this. 5 points. If I jinx your team, I'm sorry. But I have the Giants going to the NFC Championship game. They get past the Vikings and they get past the Buccaneers. The Giants beat Brady one more time, and they end up being the ones to hopefully retire Brady for good. Again, I hate saying that as a Brady fan, but honestly, the writing's on the wall. You got to see when he's done, and he's done. So he'll get out of the wild card round because the Cowboys can't fucking get it done. But he will take an L to the Giants. And what's crazy is that if this is what's to happen and he beats the Giants and then goes on and somehow beats the Eagles to get to the Super Bowl, which is would be a something freaking miraculous. He would have to have beaten three NFC East teams to face a team from the division he used to play in the AFC East. So he'd have to face all East teams, which is insane. But it's not going to happen that way. Brady loses to the Giants. Brady goes off and retires and hopefully stays retired So Schefter, don't fuck it up again, please. Now, your AFC and NFC championship games will be the top seeded Chiefs against the second seeded Bills and the top seeded Eagles against the sixth seeded Giants. I'm going to get the NFC one out of the way. Eagles win. Sorry, 5 points, but the Giants have not looked good against the Eagles in either time they played. They've gotten their asses handed to them. And I don't think that's going to change here, especially with a spot in the Super Bowl on the line. Now, granted, if the Giants go on this run, maybe they pull out some of that bullshit magic that got them to the Super Bowl in 07, that got them to the Super Bowl in 2011, and potentially stun the Eagles the third time around to get there and potentially set up a rematch with one of the teams in the AFC Championship game. I just don't see it. Um, I think the Eagles will hand them their ass again, and the Eagles will go to the Super Bowl as they've shown that they seem capable to do. So then it brings us to the AFC Championship game, Chiefs Bills again. The next installment in what has become one of the biggest rivalries of the current NFL, as it should be. It sucks that Von Miller won't be able. Obviously Von Miller's been out since I believe the Lions game back on Thanksgiving. Um, with injury, done for the year, of course, which fucking sucks because having him in this game would have been huge for the Bills against the Chiefs. But at the same time, the Chiefs also don't have Tyreek Hill. Now, granted, they do still have, Travis Kelce and some of these other guys, but you don't have to worry about Hill. You just got to worry about Kelce, primarily speaking. Um, it's gonna be another classic. It's gonna be another epic. Um, we might get another greatest game video from Urinating Tree out of it. I hope so. And I think finally, finally, the Bills will slay the demon. They'll beat Patrick Mahomes and go to the Super Bowl. Finally. After losing to the Chiefs, 3 years in a row in the playoffs? Something like that. They finally beat him. They finally beat Mahomes and punched their ticket to their first Super Bowl since losing four straight in the 90s. All four of those Super Bowls came against NFC East teams, but none of them were against the Eagles because they faced the Giants, they got the Cowboys twice, and the then Redskins, now Commanders. So it's the second seeded Bills against the top seeded Eagles in the Super Bowl. It should be a pretty damn good game. Um, I'll say that much. But in the end, the Bills are not going to go 0-5 in the Super Bowl. They're going to win and finally bring a Super Bowl championship. They'll finally bring the Lombardi Trophy back home to Buffalo. It's going to be a hell of a game. It might come down to the very end. We may even get the second ever Super Bowl to go into overtime. But in the end, the Bills win. And if I had to pick a Super Bowl MVP right now, probably Josh Allen. Probably him. Makes sense. So with all that being said, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down below. And we'll see how wrong I end up with some of these predictions. But that said, I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.